we'll start with the obvious thing, which is we apologize for not speaking in Chinese and hope that our Chinese colleagues can have the translators with you. So thank you for coming to Shanghai, and thank you for being there at Amplified. I'd just like to perhaps spend a few minutes by way of background so that the audience can understand that your background is actually fairly unique. You've had a very interesting journey, a very interesting and varied career, and it does make you somewhat uniquely qualified to discuss this subject today. In your career, you've been an audit partner, a CFO of major public companies, a main board director for multiple US companies, and just because you can't slow down, you're also a volunteer in governance roles for a variety of not-for-profit organizations. So however have you come to this thing? This is a very interesting journey, it's a varied journey. Perhaps you can share a little bit about how you got here today.
Well, the big problem I have is retirement. Same with Paul earlier today, I get bored over a weekend. But it's been a unique career, so my remarks are going to be from this perspective of starting a career as a financial analyst, becoming an auditor, an audit partner with PricewaterhouseCoopers, specializing in public reporting at the early part of my partner tenure, and then in running a business unit for PricewaterhouseCoopers, addressing media and communication companies. After that, I wanted to try my hand at actually running a finance organization for a major company. I joined a chemical company called W.R. Grace. It was at one time a Fortune 35 company. Yesterday in my remarks I mentioned it was the first wholly foreign-owned company to begin doing business in the People's Republic of China. That was in 1986. I was CFO for W.R. Grace for 10 years. And during that period, that 10-year period, it was in the early, from 2000 to 2010, when XBRL was starting to be launched in the United States. And I became interested in the topic and the potential for digital reporting, and I put W.R. Grace into the pilot program for the Securities and Exchange Commission in 2005, so almost 15 years ago. The one unique thing about that initiative was that we're one of only, that reporting was one of only 3 companies that had the XBRL tagging audit. So you go into the SEC's data retrieval system, you'll see 3 audits, one of which was for W.R. Grace. As part of, I retired from W.R. Grace 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And I've since been running my own company doing financial betterment consulting, mainly financial turnarounds, but also getting involved in public company government. And as well as XBRL and others. So that's my perspective. The last thing I would say is I've been an advisor to the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which a board member of which will be here tomorrow to speak. I've been an advisor for over 10 years as well, and we've taken up the issue of governance and auditing of digital information.
Thank you very much. So from that, the audience can see that Bob has come at this from many different angles. And I guess each of those different roles gives you a somewhat different lens to look through when you're considering disclosure and what goes into that, and how you can control that. So if you go back into your former life as an auditor and audit partner, tell us a little bit about what your key concerns and obligations are when it comes to company disclosure with that hat on. When you're an auditor, what are you concerned about?
In general, John, or with respect to XBRL tax?
No, let's not worry about it.
In general, it's a matter of making sure that your clients are reporting information story in a balanced way, and measuring their performance consistent with other companies. That's the main objective of the audit. The audit profession provides governance and validation over two key aspects of financial reporting. One is the G&A of GAAP, which is generally accepted. The auditor polices the idea of generally accepted. They also police the idea of consistency. And that's why when you read a set of financial statements in human readable format, you can be confident that the information is measured in a generally accepted way, and that it is consistent with other companies that use those accounting.
So, what are some of the hardest conversations you might have as an audit partner in that context? You're trying to make sure that a company is being consistent. Does it become difficult on occasion?
It becomes difficult as an audit partner. It also becomes difficult as a preparer, as a CFO from time to time, when the client's objectives and your independent measurements of performance may not be totally the same. So those tough conversations have to be held. But in the United States, and I know in most other places of the world, there's a high liability associated with misrepresenting financial information. So those of us who are CPAs or certified to prepare and render opinions on financial statements, it's a high calling to make sure that you can be true to that mission of fair reporting. So that lens is very similar, but not exactly the same as what you have as a CFO. As you said, you were a CFO for WR Grace, a complicated period in that company for more than a decade. What are the issues from a disclosure perspective that you are concerned about as a CFO? It's obviously a rather different role. You've actually got to be ensuring you have the processes consistent in place to pull all that information together. What are you concerned about from a disclosure perspective as a CFO and the processes that underpin it? Well, I thought going from an audit partner role into a CFO role would be a small transition, but it turned out to be a really significant change in how I thought about reporting. It's very different to actually have to do it than just to check. And in doing it, the period of time I was doing it as a public company CFO was a period of time of Enron, WorldCom, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act in the United States, the establishment of the PCAOB, and most importantly, the requirement for CEOs, CFOs, and the board of directors to certify the effectiveness of internal controls over financial reporting, which became a whole new body of processes and procedures that were used to generate numbers, but were always behind the scenes. These laws put them front and center for auditors to examine and report on, and for public company management to certify, not just once a year, but every quarter. So it became important, very important, to be able to have confidence in your financial reporting process. So you went from a situation, because of those changes in law, that as a CFO, you had a responsibility to make sure that the processes behind the scenes worked. You didn't be confident about that, right? But now the government's saying, hey, sign this, certify that it's correct, otherwise there's personal liability associated with that. So does that mean you have to spend much more time on those internal processes? You had to get started. You really had to make sure that you had a good base on which things to keep current. So it was a huge effort in the United States and I think across the world for all publicly listed companies in the U.S. to evaluate and document their internal controls in a way that they then could be audited. So it's not just the responsibility of auditor to make sure that they're working. It's the responsibility of management on a quarterly basis to reassess the effectiveness.
So, a slight aside, but I'm based in the UK. Let's say about the UK at the moment, the better. But one area that's a controversy behind the scenes is the audit world, and those certification mechanisms are somewhat less developed in the UK than they are in the US. And it's very noticeable, if you look at the numbers, that the number of restatements by public companies since the introduction of those rules, the SOX 404 arrangements, have very much come down in the United States. So I guess that's a pretty obvious indication that that mechanism works. Is that, did you kind of resent the whole process as you were going through it, or did you see the reason for it?
I absolutely can see the reasoning for it. The accounting and auditing profession went through a really tough patch, a tough period of losing confidence in their customers, whether it was directors or investors or regulators. And we had to do something fairly substantial to regain confidence. And I think you're right, is that the current track record is much better than it had been. And you could deduce that the new processes are working better than the old ones.
So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about internal and enterprise reporting for one of the tracks today. Let's just spend a moment on that. What are some of the pain points as a CFO in terms of, hey, I've got a subsidiary in Suriname, how do I get those numbers? Is that process easy and simple in an average company?
Well, it can be.
Yeah.
Standardized reporting around the world.
Not very many companies have got standardized reporting yet, right?
That's the job of the CFO to make sure it gets it.
Yeah.
Standardized systems.
Yeah.
XBRL is an opportunity, I think. I'm big on making sure that a company closes books every day. And that means you have to have transparency of daily operating activity on closing books every day. And by doing so, you can keep on top of potential problems and deal with them more closely than on a monthly or quarterly periodically.
Great. So, more recently you've been on the board of a number of different public companies, including on the audit committee, and as the chair of the audit committee. Tell us about that lens, that hat. What's the bit about being a board member that is involved in terms of disclosure, and what keeps you up at night in that context?
Well, as a audit committee member or chair of an audit committee of a board of directors, our main responsibility is to oversee the financial reporting and auditing function as it relates to that company. And up until this current year, that has been fairly straightforward because companies were reporting in paper or PDFs, and auditors were audited in paper or PDFs. But as of, I guess, a few months ago, in the US, reporting is now in inline XBRL format, which has machine readable component that's inseparable from the human readable component. And that has, to me anyway, it has created a type of an epiphany moment where preparers and auditors cannot just be focused on the human readable part. They also have to be focused on the machine readable part. And I go back to the generally accepted idea and the consistency idea. Who's going to make sure that tagging my company's numbers is in a way way, is done in a generally accepted way with other companies in similar situations, and is done consistently across, I would say, industry or similarly situated countries. That's a real gap now in government, and here's why. I'm going to tell you a story of a recent audit committee at a public company where I served on the board, and we were reviewing the Form 10Q, which is a quarterly report in the United States for financial information, and we were reviewing the paper copy. It was sent around to us in PDF format, and we got a report from management, we got a report on the auditor's report reviewing the numbers, and I said to the group, but this isn't what our investors are going to see, correct? The investors are going to see, and the filing is going to be made in an inline XBRL version, not the paper version. And everyone went hush in the room because we weren't even looking at the actual filing document. When we passed the actual filing document around the board, everyone was pretty aghast that the tagging was obvious, but the review of it was not received. The good thing is that we had good management, and the internal audit group of this company took a look at the tagging and gave us, as a governance committee, confidence that the tagging was correct from that internal audit perspective. That's not the perspective of generally accepted or consistent. So we still have that gap. We know that our internal auditor thinks it's right, but beyond that, we're on our own.
Your internal auditor, kind of by definition, looks at one company. They don't look across industry.
Right. And by the way, I because I'm a bit insistent about this, I checked with the Securities and Exchange Commission because our auditor said, well, it's not our job to check that, to check XBRL. So I asked the SEC, well, is it the board's job to check XBRL? And after about 2 weeks of deliberating, they came back and said, of course it's the board's job to check XBRL. So we have a situation where the board has obligations and responsibilities, and the auditing profession does not.
So the good news is if you're an auditor, only the boards of directors can go to check. That's right. But let's just dig into that a little bit. But for those of you that are unfamiliar with inline XBRL, it's not being used in China yet, for example. But inline XBRL is, as Bob says, machine readable and human readable. So I have a human readable bit that looks just like a PDF. There'll be some demonstrations of this throughout the rest of the conference, in fact. But every number and every piece of text, the human readable part of that, has behind the scenes in HTML a tag that tells you what this is. Hey, this is profit. And because that's not visible to a human, but is visible to the machine, as Bob says, we've kind of got this weird situation that an investor that is relying on the digital information has less investor protection than one that's retyped the data into their financial model, which is kind of silly. So, obviously the regulators have to say, hey, this is going to change, so there's got to be a decision by the securities regulators, presumably. But auditors can't really do anything without having authoritative literature. What are the steps that you'd expect an auditor to go through to review one of these documents?
Same thing I do as CFO.
Go on. We don't get to do that, so you tell us what you do.
So, in preparing a financial report, as the ultimate signer of accuracy of that information, you have to have high confidence that it's being done correctly. Now, that's now extended to tagging. As a CFO of an individual company, one of the questions you would have is, do I use standard tags? Am I so unique that I need to use unique tags? How do I know that machine readable stuff is really saying what I think it says? So you have to gain confidence in both parts of the
but in terms of the specific skills that auditors need, that means they've got to have at least some understanding of XBRL, but particularly they need to understand these taxonomies, the Lego models, which are the Lego models of, in this case, US GAAP or IFRS or Chinese GAAP. The auditor needs to have an understanding of how those accounting standards are represented in those models. Is that fair?
It's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
I hope they do.
I'm not going to embarrass anyone by asking for a show of hands at this point. But this clearly is something that both requires some competency development within the industry across the world, as well as those rules. So, I mean, do you think the rules that the audit regulators, for example, need to make is complicated?
No, it's no more complicated than auditing the numbers. One of the opportunities I believe in moving to digital reporting, and particularly within line XBRL, if you can envision a number, and then right next to it is a box with a whole lot of information. What this number is, what currency it uses, the time period, how it's defined, what the professional literature says about it. And by the way, there's plenty of room in that box for someone to put a mark on it and say, and it was validated. So in today's world for financial information dissemination, financial information is disseminated largely in bits, whereas financial reports are approached by taken as a whole. So the taken as a whole approach misses the opportunity to service investors on a bit-by-bit basis. And the company is now producing information, validating it bit by bit. It seems to me it would benefit the whole financial reporting system for some auditor attestation or validation of that as well. It adds to the reliability of information, and in my view, adds to the relevancy of the audit.
Talk about that for a minute. Why is that?
Well, I've been an auditor, and I thought I was very relevant. But as I did other things in the financial reporting world, being a preparer, being a reviewer or an overseer, I realized that the audit is too little or too late to help either management or investors make better decisions, understand clearly what's going on. The audit has become an annual event. Reporting is too far after the information is prepared, and it has become more of a compliance function for the law. It could become more of an integrated financial reporting function to meet investor more of this.
So, just as digitization is impacting companies and regulators, that whole process should also be impacting not just the processes, but the mindset of what the auditors are doing, because they can make themselves more relevant by providing more continuous information and baking themselves into the process of disclosure.
Yes, that's my view, but it's not just my view. I mentioned I'm an advisor to the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which is the regulator of auditors in the United States, and I'm a member of what's called the Investor Advisory Group, and we're a group of about 20 professionals that are primarily involved in the investor side of the financial reporting system, the user side, which includes large large investment funds, directors like me, representatives of major user interests in the United States, like pension plans and that kind of thing. Anyway, the investor advisory group makes the exact same recommendation. Now 2 years ago, even before inline was acquired. And in the United States, it takes two bodies to approve a change in auditors' roles. One is the PCAOB making a recommendation to the Securities Commission. At this point in time, neither of those bodies have recommended auditing of XBRL information, largely because I think the feeling that it isn't mandated. It really is mandated.
So the insurance industry, 15 million data points every few years, that's pretty extraordinary. But that's also due to securities regulators. The US SEC has 250 million data points in their collection over about a 10-year period. And if you look at the web logs, which you can do, they're public, of the organizations, the individuals that have gone to go and acquire information from the US regulator, 90% of those hits, it's even more than 90%, are machines, not people. Right to your point, that the users are looking at this from a big perspective, not from a whole lot. So just to, we'll be talking more tomorrow about the audit framework, and this is an ongoing question in relation to digital information. In Europe, the policymakers have come to the view that exactly what the SEC said. It's the board's responsibility, and therefore also the auditor's responsibility, to make sure that this information in a digital fashion is provided to the investors correctly. And they're trying to work through what are involved in those processes as well. That process has got a lot of scope. So we were talking about the disclosure controls and procedures, the sign-off that you have to make. Is there any reason that on that box on the right-hand side that you were talking about, you not only say this piece of information has been audited, has been covered by the audit, but it's also, this piece of information has got these processes supporting it in terms of the controls that produce it. There might be something we provide to the public, but would that help the board?
The more it has to be clear and crisp.
Yep.
You don't. The idea of a voluminous process of procedures being disclosed, I don't think it will add to clarity. But there's a framework for management to certify internal controls over financial reporting. Obviously, you can provide an indicator that bid was subjected to those. And then, when and if, or if and when, the auditing profession gets involved. A similar thing could occur.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as this number was derived from the audit of XYZ firm. Yeah. Or it could be this number was validated specifically. Yeah. But yeah, we can get